everybody to the Media Expert Online. Today my guest, Mr. Karan Kaul, Vice President of Business Development of Absolute Hotel Service. Welcome to the Media Expert, Karan.
Thank you, Mauro. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Absolute Hotel Service is a leading hotel operator based in Thailand, but more than 100 hotels in 12 different countries. Karan is responsible for the growth of Asia, Travelodge, Eastin, U, and Vienna, which are all brands that belong to Absolute. So let's start with the first question for Karan. He traveled a lot, or used to travel a lot between Thailand, Vietnam, and other countries. So I'd like just to ask him how you're doing now, how your team is doing, and all your portfolio, and is there anything you are taking advantage of during this period?
Yeah, it's of course a crisis situation, I think, for all of us. In Thailand, as much as the other regions, the majority of our portfolio is actually temporary flows. So our focus now is to just take care of our staff, our owners, our stakeholders. We put in place contingency plans quite early on in the period, so we were very well prepared, I think, in the closure process. And we've already started drafting relaunch and reopening plans to help our owners and get us off to the fastest start we can when the recovery eventually comes. So, but we can't really take any action until we follow government policy. So we're monitoring government announcements and policy in all the countries we operate to just make sure we're strictly aligned with what is allowed legally. You know, we're very strong in terms of a financial footing at Absolute Hotel Services. So we're very blessed to be in this situation. And now we're just assisting our stakeholders and partners to get through this.
Excellent. Looks like a good plan. And just to add on that, as hotel operator, would you recommend a different owner to follow certain standard in this period? Do they all follow your recommendation, or they will have a different policy based on the owners?
It's a good question. I would say the majority of our owners left to their own devices probably would not have a contingency plan to deal with this sort of a situation, quite frankly. So they have asked our advice and they have been following our plan to slowly, gradually get the hotels to a partial closure situation and to keep skeleton staff on board and to just maintain the properties and assets as much as is possible. What's interesting in Vietnam in particular, we've got one hotel open, but we have another 7 in construction that are scheduled to open in the next 18 months. And some of our owners have been, in fact, all of our owners have been fantastic there, but some of our owners have taken these months and weeks of closure to actually speed up on construction and development of some of their projects. So we have an owner that has 2 very large properties, combined over 5,000 rooms. We've almost finished basically one property at just over 1,000, and he's rushing to make sure the other property is up and running. So our technical team has really had a lot of work to do and really trying to progress these properties and construction schedules. Okay,
excellent. It's good to know that people still have a very good and positive view of what is going to happen after all of this will be finished. That leads us to the second question about recovery. So we have all the different sort of type of opinion into whether the recovery will be fast, bit longer, or actually may never happen and hospitality completely change. What's your opinion, Karan, into the recovery?
I'd like to focus specifically here, first of all, on Vietnam, of course. And unfortunately, I will disappoint you. I will say I don't know the shape of the recovery or the length of the recovery, but I do know 2 things, and Absolute Hotel Services, we're very clear about 2 things. The first is the foundation of Vietnam's tourism industry is domestic travel demand. So the domestic travel demand, in our opinion, will rush back as soon as the restrictions are lifted on domestic travel and destinations open up. So we will have a very strong footing and strong foundation, I think, to start our recovery. The second is the Chinese market, the proximity to China, and the fact that the actual, if you want to call it the cycle of the crisis we're in, Vietnam has almost mirrored China in terms of actions taken, in terms of timelines, in terms of steps that have actually been put in place. So it is our strong opinion that Vietnam is one of the few countries in Asia that's actually in a golden position to recover and actually welcome back the Chinese outbound tourists first. And I think they're going to go to Vietnam as one of the very first international destinations they travel to. So these two things combined, I believe the recovery will be strong. We are actively advising our owners of this, especially the new hotels that will open. Now the openings pushed a little bit later in this year, that we should prepare for this. The combined forces of domestic plus Chinese demand. To a lesser extent, we know the Korean market is a heavy visitor to Da Nang, and I believe Korea, as well as China and Vietnam, are on a very similar cycle in this crisis. So they too, I think, will come back to Vietnam as one of their first choices for international travel. We've seen that our owners and partners, and generally the industry in Vietnam and the government as well, has taken swift and very tough measures very quickly without hesitating. We believe this has saved, I think, a lot of the businesses in terms of cash flows and in terms of viability. And I do believe that once the recovery really starts in Vietnam, we should be able to put the pedal down and really push forward faster than maybe other countries in the region. So I would say we are positive that when it starts, it will start quickly. And there's some factors very strongly in favor for Vietnam's recovery.
Okay, excellent. I'm very pleased to know that. I'm sure a lot of people here would like to hear your opinion. And I think there are a lot of very good and valid points that we could agree, myself and you, and as well as other people that we have interviewed. So I think the position Vietnam is into, it's actually something that can come out of all of this storm, be it as a winner, as it's doing now. We have a very limited cases now, so it's been able to control it very well. Let's move into opportunity then. 2021, if we look at the future, if we look at what is going to come, and if we look at halfway through the recovery, where there will be opportunity for investor, but also for developer, really to enter into this new wave of new markets in hospitality.
I believe if you look first of all at the infrastructure commitment in Vietnam that the government has put in place, this is a multi-year, multi-decade commitment, and that will not stop. So the airports are going to continue to be built, the roads will continue to be built, the trains will eventually come online, and the general infrastructure will be upgraded. So I believe the opportunities continue as they have been in the last, I would say, 3 years, 17, 18, 19, and even at the start of this year. Secondary markets, tertiary markets, new destinations opening up. I believe there's a strong and very, very interesting opportunity. It continues to be an opportunity. It's not new. In the mid-scale to the entry upscale hotel segment, I believe owners who are fully capitalized and ready, they are ready to build larger properties. And if the operators are able to handle these and to really manage and launch them effectively in the market, these are really interesting products that will come online. We will continue to see the branded condo and branded residential mix in the hotel projects. This is not going to go away. But I see in general the canvas is still quite there's spaces on the canvas in Vietnam, if we call it that. And I think there is room to grow. It continues to be room to grow, and I don't think this crisis has derailed that at all. I think there's still that interest in developing the tourism infrastructure, and specifically hotels and branded residences as well.
Great. It's very good to see how operators are optimistic about the future, and then you could share, and we will share your optimism with all our guests. So I'd like to invite you maybe to our next event, the Media Expert. You came already a few times to present to some of our clients. We'll probably do some webinar. Always good to have you with us and sharing your opinion. Always good for our clients to listen, operators and owners' opinion. So thank you very much, Karan, for being with us today.
I really appreciate the invitation, Mauro. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you. Nice speaking to you.
Hopefully, I will see you in person soon.
Yes, hopefully. Looking forward.